Hi, I'm Paul Arthur. This is Bridge City News. Here are some of the top stories we've been following. The rumor mill in Ottawa is suggesting Canada and the U.S. might be inching closer to an economic and security deal. After being accused of not doing enough, Saskatchewan Premier Scott Moe says wildfire evacuees will get the extra help they need. It's National Blood Donor Week across the country. We'll look at the need and the people who are helping save lives.
Your nation, your province, your southern Alberta. From the heart of Lethbridge, it's Bridge City News.
Thanks for joining us. Talk of an economic and security deal between the U.S. and Canada have intensified in recent weeks, and now there are rumors circulating in Ottawa that draft documents have already been trading hands between the two parties, although there is no clear confirmation at this point. Finance Minister François-Philippe Champagne was grilled by reporters on Parliament Hill.
The end game is to have no tariff on Canadian industry. So, it's very dynamic, as you know, these things. In the tariff world, things change quickly, trust me. In the last G7, we had a communique. You saw the day after the threat of tariff we've seen just this morning between the U.S. and China. It's really moving fast. So we're on top of that, and we're fighting for Canadian industry.
What is the status today, as of today? What is the status of that talk?
Listen, you'll have to ask the Prime Minister and Minister LeBlanc as to the exact latest, but what I know, it's a very dynamic situation. We've been engaging with our friends in the United States. We talked to different people in the administration. I had the U.S. ambassador yesterday, I think, which came to see me. So we're all.
How'd that go?
Listen, we're all on the same page. We're fighting for Canada. We're fighting for industry, making sure that they understand that this is damaging on both sides of the border. And we need, as we had in the last G7, the G7 can do a lot of things together. We need to restore stability and growth.
The U.S. ambassador to Canada, Pete Hoekstra, has been quoted as saying that Prime Minister Mark Carney and U.S. President Trump are working on a deal, but he refused to speculate on how close they are to finalizing it. Government House Leader Stephen McKinnon says the Liberals won't split up new legislation to advance projects deemed to be in the national interest. Bill C-5 addresses internal trade barriers and makes sweeping changes to speed up approvals of major projects. The Bloc Québécois argues that splitting the legislation would allow the House of Commons to quickly pass the internal trade portion. But McKinnon says that's not the plan.
I think we've been very clear. We were clear in the election campaign. We were clear in the throne speech. We've been clear ever since that this is
you're in a hurry.
That this is a bill that responds to economic conditions caused by the tariff war, among other things, and mobilizes premiers, mobilizes Canadians from coast to coast to coast behind projects of national significance. These projects have a certain urgency, as do interprovincial trade barriers that must fall. So this is a very comprehensive bill. We understand that it's going to be debated, but it's something that we solicited and secured a mandate for.
The minority Liberal government needs the support of at least 4 MPs from another party to pass the bill. Meanwhile, the regional chief for British Columbia is warning that government efforts to speed up major projects will only slow them down because they will likely be sued. BC Assembly of First Nations Regional Chief Terry Teegee says the legislation introduced by the federal government last week doesn't allow for free, prior, and informed consent with First Nations. He insists that's a violation of the UN Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. Today was the kickoff to the Global Energy Show in Calgary. Alberta Premier Danielle Smith reiterated her province's stance that Ottawa needs to stop fighting it and get on board with energy development. In a fireside chat with former CBC News anchor Peter Mansbridge, Smith said it's time for a different approach.
Until you generate wealth, you cannot spend it. You can have all these wonderful aspirations about the social programs you want to expand and what you want government to do, but you need private industry to create the wealth so you can tax it, so you can have the revenue to do that. And the model that we've been going on, suppressing wealth creation and suppressing the economy and racking up massive amount of debt, is just not working for us. It's driving our living standards lower, it's driving our economic growth lower, it's driving our wage growth lower. So let's try something different. Let's see if we can work together to unleash all of the power that we have in the private sector and then be able to benefit mutually from that.
The Premier says nation building involves pipelines, innovation, and Indigenous partnerships, and Canada can and should lead the world with energy produced in Alberta. The province is now actively working to attract a private sector player to build a pipeline to coastal waters. On the heels of Saskatchewan's ombudsman criticizing the province for not helping wildfire evacuees in a timely manner, Premier Scott Moe announced that financial help is on the way for all evacuees.
Today, I'm announcing that we will be providing additional assistance to northern residents that are displaced by these wildfires. All evacuees, all residents, evacuated residents of an evacuated community will receive a $500 financial assistance emergency investment in their family. These funds are going to help support families not only through their evacuated time, but going to help support them as they encounter the costs of returning to their home community. We're focused on supporting people. There'll be social services and income supports as we move ahead through the next number of days as the effort does not end with this today. We need to work with individuals and communities on additional housing supports as we have lost many homes over the last 2 weeks. And Minister Cockrell can speak to increasing opportunity to access mental health supports as we return to our communities after a tremendously challenging and wearing time on families.
The Manitoba government is warning outdoor enthusiasts that some park areas may be closed for a long time due to the wildfires. The government says anyone planning to hike the Mantario Trail, a popular hike near the Ontario boundary, at any time this summer should make alternative plans. So far, all trails and backwater or backcountry water routes remain closed in all provincial parks. BC Liberal MP Sukh Dhaliwal says he met with Prime Minister Mark Carney today to push back against a decision to invite Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi to the G7 summit in Alberta. Dhaliwal said he has heard from hundreds of people who don't want Modi to attend the upcoming Leaders Summit.
I'm saying that it's not a good idea, but now he's invited. We have to move forward and we have to see our Prime Minister when it comes to, he is alarmed about the issue and he will be very strong when it comes to dealing with those issues that are important to Canadians.
The RCMP say they have evidence linking agents of the Indian government to the June 2023 murder of Canadian Sikh separatist activist Hardeep Singh Nijjar in Surrey. Justice Marie Josie Hogue, who led a public inquiry into foreign political interference, says China and India are the primary actors behind foreign interference operations targeting Canada. The U.S. and China have been able to hammer out the bones of a new trade deal. We get details from Alistair Smout with the Reuters news agency.
Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick spoke to the media in the early hours of Wednesday after 2 days of intense negotiations. He said the deal fleshed out a provisional agreement reached last month in Geneva.
So the idea is we're going to go back and speak to President Trump and make sure he approves it. They're going to go back and speak to President Xi and make sure he approves it. And if that is approved, we will then implement the framework that we have worked hard over these last 2 days.
Lutnick said the new agreement put meat on the bones of the Geneva deal that had faltered over China's curbs on the export of critical rare earth minerals. Now Lutnick says those restrictions will be removed as a fundamental part of the new framework. He said that some recent US export restrictions would also be lifted. Chinese Vice Commerce Minister Li Chenggang also spoke to reporters. He confirmed that agreement had been reached and said both sides would now report back to national leaders. Markets gave the news a cautious welcome, with Asian stocks posting modest gains in Wednesday trade. Some analysts told Reuters they were waiting to see details of the deal before making a judgment.
While the U.S. will get magnets and rare earth minerals from China, tariffs on Chinese goods will go to 55%, and Chinese students will be allowed to attend American colleges and universities. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's government faces possible collapse as the opposition seeks to dissolve parliament. Netanyahu's ultra-Orthodox coalition partners are threatening to support a bill to dissolve the government and force early elections. The parties are furious the government has failed to pass a law exempting their community from mandatory military service. The vote is the most serious challenge to Netanyahu's government since the October 2023 Hamas attack into southern Israel that killed around 1,200 people and abducted 251 hostages. Police in Brandon, Manitoba say a quick response prevented further bloodshed in a sword attack inside a high school. Police were called to the Neelan High School on Tuesday, where a 16-year-old boy was reported to be armed with a sword, forcing the school into lockdown. Brandon Police Chief Tyler Bates says a 15-year-old student was stabbed in the chest, forearms, hands, and thigh. The teenage suspect has been charged with attempted murder, uttering threats, and disguise with intent. In local news, 2 men are facing firearms charges after a high-risk arrest this week in Lethbridge that resulted in the seizure of a loaded gun. On Monday, police were searching for a male wanted in connection with a previous home invasion robbery. The suspect was spotted in the passenger seat of a vehicle parked in the alley along the 2500 block of 14th Avenue North. After the tactical team was called in to assist with the arrest, police approached the vehicle, but the suspect took off, running through a backyard and into the street, where he was taken into custody. The driver of the vehicle and a backseat passenger were arrested without incident. Police say a search of the vehicle led to the discovery of a loaded firearm, along with some ammunition and a large knife. 37-year-old Cole Randall Martin of Calgary is facing numerous charges. 33-year-old Joshua Gilbert Eagleson of Lethbridge is charged with unauthorized possession of a firearm and failing to comply with a release order. Both men are in custody and are scheduled to appear in court. This is National Blood Donor Week, a time to recognize the importance each donor plays in the lives of hundreds of people across Canada. In Lethbridge, the community is committed and actively involved in improving the lives of others by regularly donating plasma. While hundreds of donors visit the city's plasma center, more donors are needed, not only here, but across Canada, to the point that the Canadian Blood Service has a goal of reaching 1 million new donors in the next 5 years. Judy Jones, Director of Support and Operations for the Canadian Blood Service, says the Lethbridge Donor Centre currently has more than 2,300 active donors.
This just gives us an opportunity to welcome and engage with current donors and really give Canadians an opportunity to understand the need for new donors, the demand for blood and plasma and all products that are on an increase. And we want to make sure that we're engaging with Canadians where they're at, how they can help support us, and really helping support new donor acquisitions. We just want to spread the word about the importance. The need for blood and plasma doesn't necessarily take a vacation. There's always the need. The hospitals are always using for surgeries and different medical treatments. We need on average about 200 new donors every month in Lethbridge. It's a great opportunity to give back to your community, learn about plasma donation, put it within your schedule. I think most people, when they donate, they find that it's a giving of themselves. It becomes a part of their identity.
75% of participants say that being a donor is a unique part of their Canadian identity. Summer is almost here, and with the beautiful weather this season brings, several community events are on offer, including the Upside Downtown Concert Series 2025. Stephen Ford, Executive Director of the Lethbridge Allied Arts Council, says the free festival will be happening every Thursday from July 3rd right through to August 28th from 5 to 7 p.m., featuring a dynamic group of musicians, culture, and food. Their performances will take place downtown at Rotary Square in front of the Casa building.
Featuring all kinds of local talent, an integration of art as well too, food trucks. Great event for the family to bring on down after work. We have some incredible artists, not just locally and established artists, some emerging artists, as well as some artists from far across the country, all the way from PEI, Edmonton, so a couple of acts there that we're integrating as well. In addition to that, we're bringing in some elements, working with Chinook High School to bring some of the Battle of the Bands kids in to feature for our first two concerts. Those are the kids that eventually become these established artists going forward, right? So it's about giving these emerging artists an opportunity to get their feet wet on stage in front of a lot of people and give them that chance to shine.
This is going to happen every Thursday for 9 weeks. So there's consistency. People are going to understand that every Thursday during the summertime, this event is going to happen. So you add that to every Wednesday, we have a farmer's market. So it's that consistency that's just vital to continued engagement and bring more and more people to the downtown to just really enjoy the flavor, the charm, the vibrancy that there is in our downtown.
For more information about the Upside Downtown Concert Series, you can visit artslethbridge.org. With Game 4 of the Stanley Cup Final coming up Thursday night in Florida, Oiler fans are preparing to be loud and proud at watch parties in and around Rogers Place. Oilers superfan Jacob Golka spends most of his time on game nights with his back to the outdoor screen and his hands busy painting the faces of hundreds of fans who line up for bright blue mustaches, eye black, or player numbers on their cheeks.
Round 2 in the Vegas series, we were down 2-0, and I think it was game 2 or 3, can't remember exactly which game. One of my buddies had overalls on and face paint, and he was like, hey, we're down 2-0. The Oilers score by the end of the first period. I'm painting your face blue. This is the exact same that I have on right now. Yeah. Next game, I was like, hey, that was kind of fun. I'm going to go get some. Yeah. So everything has been, every game has been an evolve up. I probably bought 6 or 7 of these. They're about $1.25. It's not expensive. The girls mostly just want eye black, and that's fine. It's super simple. I can generally get like 2 brushes of it here, and it's easy. The guys have been a lot more fun. Any of the 14, 15-year-old guys that have no facial hair, it's great to give them a bright blue mustache, or just a little peach fuzz. That's incredible. The numbers is actually, today's the first day I've done numbers. And I think I'm going to do the numbers more because that's much more fun and prominent on the cheeks. I've had parents come and ask me if I could paint their kid, and they go to the front of the line. I don't care how many go around me. I don't care how many teenagers are waiting. Their kids are first and foremost. This could be the first time they've ever been to a watch party. This could be their first memory of being an Oilers fan. And if I can create a positive experience for them to grow up to be future great Oilers fans, that's what I want to do.
The Oilers will be looking for a win on Thursday and hoping to return to Edmonton for Game 5, tied at 2 games apiece. Well, coming up next, we'll take a look at our forecast.
Our 7-day forecast still has us with some smoke from the wildfires with a high of 27. Tomorrow is looking to have a chance of thunderstorms with showers and a high of 23. Friday is looking to have a high of 25 with sunny skies. The rest of the weekend will be sunny as well, with Saturday having a high of 27 and Sunday a high of 24. Monday will have a high of 23 with partly cloudy skies alongside Tuesday with those same stats. Today's almanac has us with an average high of 22 for today with an average low of 9. The record high on this day was set back in 2015 with 32 degrees, and the record low was set back in 1973 with 1. The sun rose at 5:24 a.m. today and set at 9:38 p.m. Our national forecast has Vancouver with a high of 19 and a chance of showers. Victoria has a high of 18 with partly cloudy skies. Edmonton will also have a high of 19 with some showers just like Vancouver, and Calgary will get a high of 18 with a chance of thunderstorms and showers. Saskatoon is looking to have a high of 26 with sunny skies. Regina will have a high of 25 with partly cloudy skies. Winnipeg will have a high of 23 with sunny skies. Central Canada is going to have Toronto with some cloudy skies and a chance of showers and a high of 25. Ottawa and Montreal will both share highs of 22 and partly cloudy skies. Atlantic Canada is looking to get some thunderstorms and showers, with Fredericton getting a high of 23, Halifax getting a high of 25, and Charlottetown a high of 22. Finishing off our national forecast with St. John's, we have sunny skies and a high of 23.
The Canada Summer Jobs Program says it's going to be subsidizing more jobs for young Canadians this summer. Jobs Minister Patty Hajdu says the 6,000 extra jobs are meant to address the urgent needs of young people struggling to find work. Statistics Canada says 1 in 5 returning students aged 15 to 24 was jobless as of May. An economist with job search site Indeed says young Canadians are finding it harder to break into the labor market as older workers hold on to entry-level positions. The Postal Workers Union says Canada Post refuses to meet it halfway on arbitration, with talks stalled and the two sides still far apart. A Tuesday update from the Canadian Union of Postal Workers says the Crown Corporation is unwilling to collaborate on drafting terms for an arbitrator. Jobs Minister Patty Hajdu asked the parties to work on those terms almost a week ago. A statement from Canada Post on Monday referred to arbitration as a lengthy legal process that puts the Postal Service's future in the hands of others. During VivaTech in Paris, NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang shared a stage with Grek the droid, a robot trained to walk in an AI-powered digital simulation. It was an illustration of the role AI can play in robotics.
Your name is Grek. Are you a petite garçon or petite fille? Okay. Grek is a little girl. Can you jump? Wow. Can you dance? Well, I just want to let you know, I am the keynote presenter. So I need you to behave. I need you to behave for a few seconds. Could you sit? Sit. Hey, you know what we should do? Let's take a picture of everybody. Yeah. Bam, bam.
I hope he does kitchen chores. I could use one of those. Now here's a look at today's markets.
The TSX was up 97 points on the day to finish at 26,524. The Dow was down a point to 42,865. The S&P 500 was down 16 to 6,022, and the Nasdaq was down 99 points to 19,615. West Texas Intermediate Oil was up $3.33 to $68.31 US per barrel. Natural gas was down a cent to $3.52 US. Gold was up $26.79 to $33.5482 US an ounce, and silver was down 33 cents to $36.24 US an ounce. Feed wheat is at $8.74 per bushel. Barley is at $6.97. Canola is at $16.26. And corn is at $7.70 per bushel. Live cattle June contract was up 75 cents to $227.82. Feeder cattle were down to $311 for the August contract, and lean hogs were up 22 cents to $103. And the Canadian dollar was even over the past 24 hours and currently sits at 73.10 US.
Recapping one of our top stories, talks to reach an economic and security deal between the U.S. and Canada have intensified in recent weeks, and now there are rumors circulating in Ottawa that draft documents have already been trading hands between the two parties, although there is no clear confirmation at this point. Anti-Semitism continues to be on the rise in Canada and around the world. So why is this happening and what can be done about it? Richard Marceau from the Center for Israel and Jewish Affairs joins us next. When you see news happening in your community, be sure to send us an email at info@bridgecitynews.ca. You can also visit our website or YouTube channel anytime to check out more of our stories and interviews. Anti-Semitism, it's been around for a long time, but seems as though it's been on the rise ever since the October 7th Hamas terror attack on Israel. Now, in Ontario, there's a situation recently in which well, not recently, I guess, but shortly after that time there, a middle school girl was allegedly bullied and assaulted simply because she's Jewish. So joining us to discuss this is Richard Marceau. He's the Vice President, External Affairs and General Counsel with the Center for Israel and Jewish Affairs. So good to have you with us, Richard.
Thank you, Paul, for having me.
You bet. Can you share the backstory with our viewers here? So what happened to this young girl while she was at school?
So this young Jewish girl was the subject of harassment, of bullying, of assault, and that is obviously unacceptable. We can go through examples. I can give you, for example, there was one day on school property, but outside of the school, there was a walkout and there was an anti-Israel demonstration. The young girl tried to avoid the demonstration, and then somebody said, "Hey, look who's there, she's Jewish." They ran after her, they swarmed her, saying stuff like "Jews must die" and the like. So imagine you have a middle school girl who is thus threatened on school property. And that is obviously not something that is acceptable in today's Ontario or in today's Canada.
Absolutely. I mean, I assume the student or her parents talked to the teachers and administration about this, correct?
They did, and they were unsatisfied with the response. Nobody was disciplined for doing what they did, and there were other stuff. She was pushed to the ground at different times.
She was pushed to the ground.
Yes.
Wow.
There was another time where stickers were put on her locker to intimidate her. And the authorities, the school authorities, did not do what they should have done to protect that child. And this is the reason why the family approached us, asking how we could help. And we tried to do it in a way that would be as little as easy as possible for everybody, but there was not a real good answer, good response by the school, and that is why the CJA's legal task force took on the case and is now suing the Peel District School Board.
Right. Yeah, I mean, when something like this takes place in a Canadian public school, we would expect that swift corrective action would take place, right? So what kind of steps should the school have taken to protect this student?
Well, certainly the people who were responsible for this, and some of them were identified, should have been disciplined.
Yeah.
And that child should have been protected and not put into place, basically say, okay, well, we can't do that much or we're going to leave you on the side to protect you. That is not the way to do it. And again, I would like your viewers, Paul, to put themselves in the shoes of those parents, seeing their kid coming back from school, which should be a place where they not only learn, of course, but have fun and create memories that could last a lifetime and make friendships. That's not what happened. She was harassed again. She was bullied, assaulted, and that leaves scars.
Well, that brings memories, all right, but not good ones, you know? I mean, wow. And you'd mentioned there was a demonstration, right? Now, I understand, you know, we're at the school. Like, this is apparently a pro-Palestinian protest on school grounds during school hours? Is that correct?
It was a walkout, as I understand it, and obviously just there is an issue. And schools are a place to learn. Schools are a place to grow and to mature. And no kid, no child should be the subject of divisive, toxic environments. And the Peel District School Board failed in making sure that toxicity, that anti-Semitic atmosphere be stopped, and that is why they should be held they should be held accountable.
I mean, I mean, if I was a parent, had students at that school, I would be talking to the administration and the school board saying, why are you having these kinds of, protests that are obviously very controversial and divisive? Hey, you got all kinds of different ethnic backgrounds, religious backgrounds here, and is this necessary? And could it potentially blow up? And as it did, I'm told apparently at this particular, demonstration that the student was actually identified as Jewish, and about 40 students, something like that, surrounded the student. And again, you mentioned, saying things like, Jews must die and so forth. Like, I mean, that's craziness. That should never happen in a public school system. So I'd be saying, hey, school board, do something about this. Make sure this sort of thing doesn't happen again.
That is correct. So the school board should have done. So school should have done better. School board should have done better. But ultimately, the responsibility is also with the Ontario government, and I think they should also ensure that our kids are safe, and that if a school board doesn't do what is necessary to protect kids, there could be consequences for the school board.
Well, there should be, Now, you allege that following this protest, the principal attempted to shift blame onto the plaintiff by claiming they didn't exactly hide that they were Jewish. So is that implying that one should hide the fact that you're Jewish? I mean, I don't quite get that.
I saw this when I first heard it, and my jaw dropped on the floor.
Yeah.
Since when are we asking people, anybody in fact, to hide who they are? Is that the society that we want? Is that a society that we would want Jews and all people to hide their parts of their identity? And that to me was when I said, okay, something has to be done, because it's basically victim blaming here. It was putting the responsibility of this toxicity, of this hate, of this anti-Semitism on the victim, and no group should accept that. And it showed to me that the school board and the school authority did not understand what they were dealing with, and were not willing to do what was appropriate.
Absolutely. Now, apparently one of the teachers singled out the student because of her Jewish identity. So I'm trying to wrap my head around that one. Why would that take place? Was there a good reason for that?
There was no reason to do that. There's no reason to put the blame on the victim of this harassment, of this bullying, of this violence. This is completely unacceptable. We would not accept that of any group. And Paul, you mentioned at the beginning, you were seeing a rise of anti-Semitism just in the last 2 weeks. There was a shooting in Washington. There was a peaceful march in Boulder, Colorado, that was attacked. Somebody setting the walkers on fire. We see this now in Ontario. Yesterday, the Holocaust monument in Ottawa was vandalized. And Statistics Canada show that even though Jews represent 1% of Canadian population, they are the target of 70% of religiously motivated hate crimes in Canada. So Canada in 2025 is not a welcoming place for Jews, and I believe that the promise of Canada has been broken.
Yeah, I mean, those are completely crazy, unacceptable stats. So, well, a little bit like, I mean, so what do we do about it? I'm not Jewish, so should I care? Yes, I should, because, it doesn't stop there. That sort of thing kind of creeps and expands to other parties as well. And I believe we should stand side by side with any, people group that's being discriminated against, and, especially in these kinds of ways. Now, I'm sure there's some very good teachers in that whole district, Peel District School Board, et cetera, but I'm told they have a bit of a history of racism and anti-Semitism. Can you share a bit about that?
Well, in the past, the Peel District School Board has had problems, and was actually under government control for a while. It's a problematic school board. It's not new. They obviously have not put their house in order. And who's paying the price for this is people like this young girl that we're talking about. And of everything that any authority does, whether it's school, whether it's municipally, provincially, or federally, the most important thing, I believe, is our children. It's our future, and everybody should be protected, should be safe, should be made to feel safe, and should feel that the people in charge have their best interests at heart. And this is not what we saw.
Okay, so what do we do with this, I guess? So they have a history now, and again, the government tried to intervene to some degree, sounds like. Have steps been taken here to bring about change, whether that's with teachers, with the school board members, with administration? I mean, obviously something needs to change here in order for students and parents to feel safe and to get a proper education without looking over the shoulder the whole time.
And in here, unfortunately, the unions are not helping.
Okay.
Unions, teachers' unions that are toxic, and Jewish members of that union are feeling that toxicity, that anti-Semitism, and whereas we would hope that a teachers' union would be on the side of fighting intolerance, of fighting hate, of fighting anti-Semitism, this is not what we're seeing. So there needs to be better control. There needs to be better understanding of what is acceptable, what is not, including in terms of discourse. The Ontario government, like the Canadian government, has adopted the definition of anti-Semitism that was written by the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance, which should be basically the North Star for everybody trying to deal with anti-Semitism and identifying anti-Semitism. That would be a good place to start. I think everybody should be trained properly, and by everybody I mean the teachers, I mean school administrators, I mean the trustees and the civil servants in the trustee positions, in civil servant in the school board, because it is a scourge, it's a cancer that's unfortunately growing, and everybody needs to be able to understand it and fight it properly.
It just seems to me that had this particular student been of a different heritage, and there's a bunch you could just pick out, different people groups, different religious groups, there would have been much, much more outrage in our media and from our government and from our school boards. But dare I say it, it's only a Jewish student. That seems to be, a prevailing attitude that needs to change.
So I'm not much into victimhood Olympics, but I'm going to say that there is a standard now, double standard, that things that are said about Jews and are done against Jews that would not, as you correctly pointed out, Paul, that are now currently accepted, and people kind of condoning it by not reacting to it, and that's very problematic. And society has to wake up. Society has to realize that things that start with Jews never end with Jews. And history, unfortunately, has shown this time and time again. So it's not a Jewish problem, Paul. It's a Canadian problem, and unless we fix it, the entire society will pay the price for it.
Any final thoughts for our viewers here, what they could do to help, I guess, bring about changes to fix it?
Well, first of all, thank you, Paul, for willing to shed a light on this. That's important for people to see and hear how deep the problem is. If you have friends or even family members or colleagues that are Jewish, reach out to them, because we're hurting. We feel under siege because we are under siege. And then ask them in that environment what can be done to help. If it's an issue of anti-Semitism in their workplace, or or at City Hall, or in their union, or in the cultural center, or in their theater group, because unfortunately that Jew hatred, anti-Semitism is now creeping everywhere.
Yeah. All right. Appreciate you taking a stand there, and thanks for being with us today, Richard.
Thank you for having me, Paul.
You bet. Richard Marceau, the Vice President with the Center for Israel and Jewish Affairs.
Every year, Canadians lose millions of dollars to scammers. Why and how does this happen, and what can we do to avoid getting caught in a scam? Joining me now to talk about this is Odetta Durofte. She's the Manager of Community Outreach and Education with the Alberta and East Kootenay branch of the Better Business Bureau. Good to have you with us, Odetta.
Thank you for having me this morning.
So first of all, can you explain to our viewers what the BBB is all about, and how would you typically be of assistance to a Lethbridge business person, for example?
Yeah, so the Better Business Bureau is a nonprofit organization who strives to create trust between consumers and businesses. We've been serving Alberta, including the Lethbridge area, for over 70 years. We have a website, bbb.org, where we provide with business listings for free for consumers to check them out. So we invite you to visit our website and find a reputable and trustworthy business there.
And every year, the Better Business Bureau of Canada comes out with a scam tracker risk report and a top 10 list of fraudulent scams that are ripping off Canadians. Can you explain the criteria used to rank the risk index?
Yeah, so the Better Business Bureau, as you mentioned, we have this amazing risk report. It's called the Scam Tracker Risk Index Report, which we've been publishing every year since 2016. And we receive a number of reports each year. Last year, in 2024, we received more than 81,000 reports. And so we use that data to analyze, to look at what are the most common scams that are being perpetrated, who is more at risk. And we also look at the financial and non-financial losses as well. So this is a tri-dimensional process. Then we look at the exposure, we look at the susceptibility, and we look at the losses. And then we learn from this, and then we can further educate consumers and businesses on some of the red flags and how to prevent from falling a victim to them.
Cryptocurrency and investment scams were at the top of the list. So what makes these so attractive, and what do we need to be on the lookout for?
So the adage, don't invest something that you can't afford to lose, it applies here. But what we are really talking about here is investment in general, and using cryptocurrency as a form of investment in particular inherently is high risk. So we are talking about, though, criminal professional crime organizations who will make a connection with you via one of the social media platforms, be it a dating website or an investment forum, and they will offer you an opportunity. So they're going to be in connection with you. They're going to work on gaining your trust. And once the trust is established, they're going to come up with the amazing investment opportunity that they want you to be a part of. And it usually starts low. So you are asked to invest very small amount of money. They may even show you a website where you can track that money. And then so you are giving them that trust and you continuing to invest more and more. And at a point when you are no longer comfortable with this investment and you want to put a stop to it, but then you are seeing yourself in a situation when they're not letting you. They come up with excuses for why you cannot take your return out of this investment. They may say things such as you need to pay other fees and taxes on top of that. And for whatever scenario they have, the idea is, the bottom line is, you are trapped in that. But we encourage everyone that at any point in time, when you are seeing the red flags of an investment scam, don't be afraid to move back. So to stop, disengage, stop connections, stop communications, and go reach out to your financial institution, to your bank, go to your local police, and talk with someone with your family or your friends, with your network. Talk about it, as you are not alone. This happens more often than we realize.
Now, employment scams were number 2 on the list. Can you explain how that one works?
Well, employment scam is definitely second most riskiest scam in Canada for the second year in a row. And so the way this works, there's a few different variables, but the most common scenario is we are seeing in our reports is that the scammer, the fraudster, will set up a fake website where they are either posing job openings or they will just connect with you via social media messaging, or they'll send you a text message and they'll say they have this great offer for you. Or they may say they found your resume on one of the job boards. And then so from there, really, things start to move really quickly. They may jump ahead and send you an offer that just looks too good to be true, with all the attractive deals, high salary, work from home, flexible hours. So they're very attractive. And they may send you, they'll say, there's a link for you to apply. This is the only way we accept applications, through this link. So what they're really looking for is your information. They want your legal name. They want your date of birth. They want your SIN number. So if we think about it, employment scams can be or can have ties to identity theft type scams. So it's very important to stop and think, research the company, make sure you are dealing with a legitimate company, make sure the posting exists, check out their social media pages, look up reviews on the company, on the position as well, to compare everything. We just need to always be cautious.
And what about romance or relationship scams? What are some warning signs that we should be aware of?
Well, the romance or the relationship type of scam really has close ties to the investment or the cryptocurrency type of scams. And it does happen very similar to the investment scam. So the same scenario, perhaps you're dating on a website, on a public website, and then there's somebody who shows up, they're presenting themselves as the best fit, or they have all the qualities, they match with what you are looking for within your profile. And then they really, they move on quickly. So, but again, they want to gain your trust. They may say that they love you a little too soon. And then they're working on that process of gaining fully your attention and your trust. It may take a few days or weeks or months until they come up with an investment opportunity. So you need to look out at red flags, such as the relationship moves on too fast, they want to move in with you really, really soon. And then they bring in money into discussion. They're going to present you pictures of their luxurious life, their luxurious vehicles and homes and vacation plans. So the all looks too good to be true scenario applies here.
And we have a fairly significant senior population in the Lethbridge area. Are seniors at a higher risk of scams, and what age groups are more susceptible?
Well, all age groups, unfortunately, can be a target of a scam. To say that only seniors, that's simply not true. As we've discussed employment scams just earlier, that really targets those aged 18 to 44. So, but what we're commonly seeing for seniors is the grandparent scam and bank imposter scam.
And then on the flip side of risks for seniors is the risk to our youth. Apparently, scammers are targeting younger people as well. What does the younger generation need to be looking out for?
So younger generation, often we hear that they think they can be smarter than the scammers. They can outsmart the scammers. So we say information is power. That's a dangerous notion to play around, to say that we can outsmart the scammers. So information is power, education is crucial. We at the Better Business Bureau, we offer free presentations, free workshops for everyone in our serving area, including the youth. And Fraud Prevention Month, March is Fraud Prevention Month. The Better Business Bureau, we partnered up with other fraud prevention partners to educate and to spread the awareness and the fraud prevention tips to help everyone to prevent them from falling a victim to a scam.
And now we have a federal election just around the corner. Are election scams a thing, like where parties are, or people pretending to be from a certain political party are asking for donations?
That can happen, absolutely. We are seeing some of the charity scams as well, some of the donations. Anyone can pretend to be anyone. So we need to be on the lookout. And the best thing to do really in any scenario is do your research all the time. Use the internet, come on bbb.org, see what information we have on the individual, on a company to make an informed decision.
Online purchases continue to be a risk. How are people getting caught online, and what are the no-nos to watch out for?
So if you are planning to purchase online, just make sure that, again, then you are looking up that company. Is the company legitimate? Is the website secure? Look for the HTTPS in the URL. And then view the products that that company is selling. Do a Google reverse image search. Make sure that the website that product doesn't come up in any other websites. If they do, then potentially it could be a stock picture so that the products don't even exist. And if you can plan on using credit cards, if there's any issues with it down the road, then you can dispute with your financial institution. And again, do your research on the company, on the products, read reviews, ask for references.
And advance fee loans is another common scam. How does this typically get presented?
Well, that would be, it's targeting those who are already in a financial need. So if you are looking for a loan from a traditional bank and for whatever reason that is not accessible to you, then you have the option to look for alternative options, and you're looking at loan companies. And so when the loan company comes to you and says, you know, we are offering you this loan, quick offer, we guaranteed, we are don't even look in or don't even doing a credit check, we are just giving you this money. However, we need money to be paid up front for the loan to be released. So that is the advance fee loan. So they are asking money from you before they give you the money. That's illegal, and that's the risk, and that's the scam. So loan companies, legitimate and trustworthy loan companies, will never ask you to pay money up front.
Now, tax scams have been going around for a while. What is it about them that try to convince people that these people are actually with Canada Revenue Agency?
Yes, so the tax type of scam, the CRA type of scam, we call them the authority scam. What they do, especially during the tax season, is they're going to call us or text messages, and they'll say they're representing the government. And then they immediately say that there's, they're using the threat or the reward, the stick or the carrot. So they're going to say there's some issues, you haven't filed your taxes, you owe money to the government. If you're not paying it immediately, you're in big trouble. They're going to put you in jail. So really, we always have to verify any of this kind of information directly with the government. Never trust our caller ID. Never trust somebody who's threatening us over the phone. And governments will never engage with us in a phone conversation to threaten us to pay the money that we owe them. And if not, then they're going to put us in jail.
So because the scam has been going on for a while, is it still a very common one, or have people already caught on that this is not legitimate? I think the big red flag is when you have to pay your taxes with Walmart or Amazon gift cards.
Exactly. Unfortunately, this is still continuing to occur, and we help those who are new to Canada, new Canadians, to understand that that's not how things work. That's not how a government operates. And that, as you said, governments will never ask us to pay if we owe anything to them, will never ask us to pay via gift cards, via Amazon or iTunes cards. It always has to go through the bank, through a means of transaction that can be traceable.
Any final reminders for our viewers on how to sniff out a scam? And tell us about how the BBB website can be of help as well.
Yeah, so definitely I will just end up saying that a healthy skepticism is always good. It comes handy. So don't believe everything that you see or read. The too good to be true. If something is too good to be true, it probably is. This is an old tip in the books, but it still applies. And then always be careful and cautious whenever you are sensing that the urgency. When there is a sense of urgency, someone is pressuring you to do something, to act quickly, that's always a red flag. And yes, please visit our website, bbb.org. We have many free services for consumers. You can visit our scam tracker that can be found on bbb.org/scam tracker. And you can view our most recent scam tracker risk report also on our website.
Odetta Durofte is the Manager of Community Outreach and Education with the Alberta and East Kootenay branch of the Better Business Bureau. Odetta, thanks so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm Naveen Day. On behalf of all of us here at Bridge City News, thanks for watching.